Howdy folks, part two of this thinking associated with whether one needs I don't know what we call it, an intermediate language, let's say, to move it from C to potentially Python or JavaScript. These seem to be the two front runners, potentially a distant third with regards to Java, but I think from the command line alone, probably Python or JavaScript. Anyway, so in looking into the simulation and getting a greater sense of what that would entail, I think this is an idea of what I'm calling MinApe, which is basically the simulation but just with a great amount of it reduced. Just all that's necessary. Basically, the only requirement is what's necessary for emergent complexity to still be visible through the simulation. And this reduces a bunch of stuff which isn't particularly used. Things like file handling, ape script, command line stuff. There's a bunch of, basically it's a Swiss Army tool as it's written, with regards to having a lot of different stuff. The underlying object code, for example, doesn't actually need to be in there specifically, I don't think. So I've got a kind of checklist of things to remove to get the source code down to 60% basically of what it is currently. That's the aim. And once it's at 60%, I've looked at kind of making the existing code more generic, or at least more compatible with being ported to either JavaScript or Python easily. So there would be a utility that would enable this porting to be done, and basically the format of the underlying code would also enable the porting to be done. So it's a combination of both things: the underlying formatting of the code, which would here be the same C that's been written in, but just with slight format changes in order to be optimized for moving this thing through. So looking at the code and thinking very critically, I think the first step is to move to this MinApe idea, which might be just a subset of the Ape SDK, or it might be just a new implementation of the Ape SDK. This is the thing that I'm toing and froing on currently. Ideally, one can make these things considerably more componentized and just make it simple, but I think it might just be better just to do a kind of hack and slash through it and eliminate the unnecessary stuff, create a different branch basically, and just create, what the ideal subset basically of the existing simulation is. And that's my current thinking. So make this first step associated with cleaning up and reducing down the code base, and then look at the second step associated with how the code base can be slightly tweaked in order to make it easier for porting. I'm picking two languages here just to keep it interesting, and I think also the learning experience of getting this ready for porting for two languages is something which should be able to scale and be useful for other folks who want to come in and use this kind of methodology for their own particular simulation projects. Anyway, a short one, but just an update from Tom Barbalet based on just general musing and working through the code for probably only a 6 to 8 hour period, so not a huge amount of time spent in order to come to this realization. And I think the MinApe idea probably rolling out within the next 2 to 3 weeks at most, and then we'll look to see what is actually left and work from that point. Anyway, Tom Barbalet in Las Vegas, Nevada, signing out.